On a snowy winter evening in Seoul, white flakes fell softly, blanketing the streets in silence. Streetlights and festive decorations twinkled like stars that had descended to the city below. Young people laughed, holding cups of hot chocolate, while couples walked arm in arm, their breaths visible in the chilly air. Among them was a young woman named Ji-yoon. She wore a simple coat, but her heart carried a small, precious dream, a dream that went beyond mere romance. She longed to connect hearts through music. Though Korean by birth, Ji-yoon had been studying Hindi at university. The reason was simple: she had met Arav, a young Indian student in Seoul. His eyes were as deep and dark as a winter night, and when he smiled, it could melt even the coldest air. Arav loved singing and often hummed old Hindi love songs. Ji-yoon couldn't fully understand the words, yet the sound of his voice stirred her soul. His singing, though mysterious, had the power to bring tears to her eyes, like magic she could not resist. Their meeting had been entirely by chance. In the university library, Ji-yoon found a notebook Arav had accidentally dropped. It was filled with his handwritten Hindi lyrics, with awkward Korean translations scribbled alongside. Touched by his effort, she spoke to him. "Are these your songs?" Arav smiled shyly and nodded. "Yes, but they don't sound quite right in Korean." In that instant, a small bridge formed between them. Ji-yoon began learning Hindi, while Arav tried harder to master Korean. Though words differed, music connected them. They spent late nights studying together in the library and shared dreams over hot chocolate at corner cafes. When Arav hummed a tune, Ji-yoon shyly harmonized in Korean. Their voices blended across cultures, creating a single love story song that spoke to hearts beyond language. Yet, love does not always follow a smooth path. Ji-yoon's family did not welcome her romance. Her father, in particular, valued tradition and strongly opposed her relationship with a foreigner. Ji-yoon felt torn, caught between her family's expectations and the pounding of her own heart. There were nights she cried alone, yet she could never forget the sound of Arav's voice. It seemed as if her heart beat in rhythm with his song. Arav, too, struggled. His family remained in India, and he was unsure if they would understand a love that spanned continents. Moreover, his student visa was nearing its end, and in just a few months, he would have to return home. A heavy worry weighed on him. Could he protect this love? One snowy night in the park, they faced each other beneath the streetlights. Arav pulled out the little notebook he had dropped when they first met. Opening to the last page, he spoke with a trembling voice. "Ji-yoon, though our languages and countries are different, my heart chooses only you." Then he began singing in Hindi. Tears streamed down Ji-yoon's face as she harmonized in Korean over his melody. Their voices blended into the night sky, and the snow fell like a blessing around them. In that moment, their love became music, shining beyond fate itself, an eternal song that defied distance and time. Spring had arrived in New York City, and the streets were lined with blooming cherry blossoms. Couples strolled hand in hand along the sidewalks, savoring the fleeting beauty of the season. Yet for Ji-yoon and Arav, their hearts were caught between the sweetness of those petals and the shadow of an approaching fate. After university lectures, they always met by the serene lake in Central Park. Arav would strum his guitar while Ji-yoon softly added Korean lyrics to his melody. Around them, tourists laughed and students chatted, but to the two of them, the world seemed to pause. Only music flowed, timeless and blossoms. Couples strolled hand in hand along the sidewalks, savoring the fleeting beauty of the season. Yet for Ji-yoon and Arav, their hearts were caught between the sweetness of those petals and the shadow of an approaching fate. After university lectures, they always met by the serene lake in Central Park. Arav would strum his guitar while Ji-yoon softly added Korean lyrics to his melody. Around them, tourists laughed and students chatted, but to the two of them, the world seemed to pause. Only music flowed, timeless and uninterrupted. One day, Arav pulled a sheet of paper from his guitar case. It was the lyrics of a famous classical Hindi love song that he had been trying to translate into Korean. Ji-yoon looked at it, her eyes glistening with tears. "Arav, is this for me?" He nodded shyly, a small smile on his lips. "Music is the only way I can truly show you my heart." But behind that gentle smile lay a harsh reality. Arav's student visa would expire in just 3 months. Ji-yoon knew it but could not bring herself to speak the words aloud. The more they avoided the topic, the sweeter their music became, and the deeper the shadow of silence grew between them. Ji-yoon's father grew stricter by the day. When he saw messages from Arav on her phone, he scolded her sharply. "Stop this immediately. In America, there are cultural boundaries. A romance with a foreigner is just an illusion. Ji-yoon fought back tears and replied, "Dad, love knows no borders." Her words echoed in the quiet of the night, but they could not sway her father's heart. Meanwhile, Arav received a letter from his mother. "Son, come back to India. Your future is waiting there." Her words were gentle, yet beneath them lay the weight of expectation. He was not allowed to stay in America. That night, Arav played his guitar alone, tears streaking down his face. His voice trembled, like a cry from the depths of his heart. Then one day, the two participated in a street performance in the city. On a small stage, Arav sang in Hindi while Ji-yoon harmonized in Korean. The crowd, though unable to understand the words, was captivated by the melody, some even shed tears. Love transcends language. In that moment, their feelings echoed across the streets, touching everyone nearby. After the performance, a music producer in the audience approached them. "Your music is special. Would you like to collaborate on a project?" Ji-yoon and Arav exchanged glances, their hearts racing. Perhaps, this music could change their future. Yet fate was not so kind. Ji-yoon's father had seen the footage of their performance and locked her in her apartment. "Never see him again." His angry voice reverberated through the room. Ji-yoon cried by the window, whispering Arav's name into the night. That evening, Arav ran desperately to her apartment. Spring rain fell in place of snow as he strummed his guitar outside her gate and sang a Hindi love song. "Ji-yoon, trust me. Love cannot be taken away." Ji-yoon opened the window, rain soaking her hair, and responded softly in Korean. "I trust you too. No matter the distance, my heart is with you." Their voices, though nearly drowned by the rain, resonated together in perfect harmony. In that moment, love became more than an emotion, it became a fight. They chose a path that would not be easy. Whatever the future held, they vowed to use music as their shield and to challenge destiny together. It was late summer in New York City. The skies over Manhattan were painted a deep shade of blue, and the sound of street musicians filled the air near Central Park. Yet, for Arav and Ji-yoon, every note carried a shadow of pain. The end of Arav's student visa was near, and his flight back to India was already booked. Ji-yoon sat on the rooftop of her small Brooklyn apartment, clutching the little notebook Arav had once given her. Inside were pages of lyrics written in Hindi and Korean, mixed together like two hearts trying to beat as one. Every page reminded her of their late-night walks, their laughter in cozy cafes, and the secret songs they sang together. "Arav, are you really leaving me?" she whispered to the evening sky, her voice trembling. The wind carried no answer, only the faint sound of traffic and distant jazz from the streets below. Arav was just as torn. His family,
clutching the little notebook Arav had once given her. Inside were pages of lyrics written in Hindi and Korean, mixed together like two hearts trying to beat as one. Every page reminded her of their late-night walks, their laughter in cozy cafes, and the secret songs they sang together. "Arav, are you really leaving me?" she whispered to the evening sky, her voice trembling. The wind carried no answer, only the faint sound of traffic and distant jazz from the streets below. Arav was just as torn. His family
was waiting for him back in India, with expectations of a safe career and a stable future. Yet his heart was chained to Ji-yoon's voice, to the music they had created in this city. Sitting by the East River, he strummed his guitar and whispered to himself, "Music crosses borders, but can love survive distance?" On the night before his departure, they decided to perform one last time together. They chose Washington Square Park, where the fountain lights glowed and people gathered around in curiosity. Arav began to sing in Hindi, and Ji-yoon's soft Korean voice layered on top of his melody. Strangers stopped, drawn by the emotion pouring out of them. Some cried, some held their partners closer, as if they too could feel the ache of impending separation. "This isn't just a song," Ji-yoon said into the mic, her voice breaking. "This is our love." The crowd erupted into applause, but for Ji-yoon and Arav, the world felt painfully heavy. The next morning, at JFK Airport, time became their enemy. The moment Ji-yoon spotted him at the departure gate, she screamed his name. "Arav." He turned, their eyes locking across the busy terminal. For a moment, everything froze, the rushing passengers, the announcements, even the ticking clock. But the boarding call shattered the illusion. Arav took a deep breath, walked to her, and placed a small silver ring in her hand. "Even if I leave, this love will stay. As long as music exists, we are never apart." Ji-yoon clutched the ring with tears streaming down her face. "And I'll keep singing, No matter the distance, your voice will always reach me. They kissed, one last desperate kiss, as if to hold time still. Then, with a final glance, Arav disappeared beyond the gate. Weeks later, Ji-yoon continued to sing in small cafes around New York. Her voice carried more strength now, more raw emotion. One evening, while sitting in a cafe in Queens, she heard a familiar voice from the radio, Arav's. He had released a new song in India, and woven into its Hindi verses were Korean lyrics, just for her. Ji-yoon smiled through her tears. We're still connected, always. Their love became a song whispered across oceans, carried by music and memory. And in America, people began to call it. Months passed, and the weight of time pressed heavily on Ji-yoon and Arav. His departure date grew closer with each sunrise, and though their hearts were bound together, reality threatened to tear them apart. Yet their love, nurtured through music, had already become larger than themselves. It had touched strangers, moved crowds, and echoed across languages. On Arav's final night in New York, the two returned to Central Park, the place where their journey had begun. Beneath the cherry blossoms swaying gently in the evening breeze, they sat by the lake. Arav brought out his guitar, his hands trembling, and began to play the melody they had written together. Ji-yoon joined him, her voice fragile yet strong, carrying the lyrics in Korean while he sang in Hindi. Their song drifted across the water, as though the city itself paused to listen. When the last note faded, Ji-yoon whispered through her tears. Even if you leave, this song will always keep us together. Arav took her hand and pressed it to his heart. No matter where I am, in India, in America, or anywhere else, my heart will sing for you. Love doesn't end with distance. It begins again every time we remember this song. The next morning, Arav boarded his flight home. Ji-yoon stood at the terminal, tears streaming down her face, clutching the small notebook filled with his lyrics. She watched as the plane disappeared into the clouds, but in her heart, she felt no emptiness, only the rhythm of his voice, the warmth of their harmony, and the promise that one day, music would bring.
In America, or anywhere else, my heart will sing for you. Love doesn't end with distance. It begins again every time we remember this song. The next morning, Arav boarded his flight home. Ji-yoon stood at the terminal, tears streaming down her face, clutching the small notebook filled with his lyrics. She watched as the plane disappeared into the clouds, but in her heart, she felt no emptiness, only the rhythm of his voice, the warmth of their harmony, and the promise that one day, music would bring
them back together. And so, their love did not end with separation. Instead, it transformed into something eternal, an unfinished song, carried on the wind, waiting for the day their voices could reunite. In a city of millions, their story became a testament to the truth. Love knows no borders, and music
knows no borders, and music